I'm Barbre,
I'm Sheri.
and we've been involved for since 1998. We got involved with TLC back in 1984 when Drew Schmidt and Pam Brewer went to Tim Coop. They had this desire to, we're pro-life, but what are we doing about it as a church?
That's how I heard about TLC, is because we were going to Crossroads. Tim Coop was the pastor, and so I learned about it, about TLC, and took the volunteer training class.
My involvement at TLC, I was kind of the handyman. And what we did, we stored all the baby cribs, the strollers, and everything in there. And every time a client needed something, they came to our house, and I had to dig it out and get it for them.
I was in charge of the hotline, so it was a 24-hour hotline, and it was my job to make sure there were people available in the middle of the night to answer the phone. There was a reorganization of TLC, and it was shut down, and as in stopped operating for a short period of time as they reorganized and started up again. But at that point in time, all the volunteers, including us, were no longer connected.
So now a prominent businessman in Corona had also this desire to get a pro-life ministry going again in town. So he went to Riverside Life Services and asked the director there if she could get a bunch of people together that would get a center going in Corona. He would provide a building for them to operate out of. So in November 1997, about 20 of us got together. Riverside Life gave us $500 or $5,000.
I thought it was $3,000.
$3,000? $3,000 for a get started seed money. And so on February 2nd, 1998, we opened our doors and had started Corona Life Services.
Then when Corona Life Services began in 1998, all of the volunteers that came to work at Corona Life Services at the very beginning were all trained through TLC and had gotten their experience there, and that caused Corona Life Services to be able to open up. I heard it took them 6 weeks from when we first met until when they opened. That's incredible. We're very grateful for TLC. That's where we got our training and got our feet wet in pro-life movement, and most of us from the beginning of Corona Life look back at TLC as our mentor.
Sheri and I were really involved the first 2 years. We were there as helpers when we had the garage sales and the first walk and the first banquet. And it was our third year that we got on board as board members. And since that time, we've been totally involved with. As our board time finished up, I've been just the super volunteer all these years. And she's been the bookkeeper now.
I can't say to you, I know that God told me to, or had me do this, because I just was apparently tender towards babies in that way. When Corona Life Services first started, we had a center director, and then I don't even know if she had an assistant, but everything else was all volunteer. Whatever services we had to offer was volunteer. Then we had to get a medical director because we had to operate under his umbrella. And then one of the big things that was being worked towards becoming a medical clinic, and that took a lot of effort. It was no easy task to do that. That was a big deal to achieve that. And more than one person in leadership, in the directorship, took on that task before it was completed.
It was exciting just watching the community growing and growing, and how Corona Life Service is becoming an impact in the community. The city officials knew Corona Life Services, the schools knew Corona Life Services, and that was just exciting to be a part of watching all that grow.
Then when I think about what we do today at Corona Life Services, Zoe, and compared to the very beginning, I think even though we may have expanded greatly, we still do the same thing. We share the truth with women who are trying to decide if they want to carry this baby to term or not. We are encouraging and coming alongside the men to pick up the mantle of manhood and take on the challenge of raising their babies. And we're providing service, material goods, etc., to help the families to be able to fulfill that choice, which has been a dream of Corona Life from the very beginning, are in the schools, sharing healthy relationships, and the students are hearing about Corona Life Services. Zoe exists, so if there's ever any needs, that they'll have that place to choose as opposed to the other options out there. So I think, and then of course the bottom line is that the gospel's being shared, and that's been from day one, and that makes everything else eternally worth it. Yes, life on earth is great, but there's still more to it than that.